Hi guys, it's Nobu. Today I'm going to show you how to make condensed soy sauce, which called tare in Japanese. Usually this sauce is used in ramen noodle in Japan. Of course, you can use in a lot of occasion in Japanese cuisine or Japanese cooking. But I personally used in a lot of different occasions with my cooking because this soy sauce, it's not only soy sauce flavor because you're gonna keep adding different umami flavor into the sauce. So the sauce itself has so much compounded a lot of different flavor into it. You can definitely use this sauce into some marinade, some meat, or make different type of sauce. Add it into tiny bit into your soup will gives a lot of umami flavor into it. What else? Oh, if you just look at the video, you might think, oh, this sauce is really hard to make. However, you just mix everything in and let it sit for a couple days. This sauce is easier to make than it looks. Before we start, if you can hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, that would be really helpful. That being said, let's get started.
Yeah.
We're gonna make soy sauce,
Hell yeah.
which is tare. Okay, now I'm gonna describe what I'm gonna use as an ingredient for this sauce. First of all, of course, soy sauce. I personally use Kikkoman soy sauce because this is really major soy sauce all over Japan. And I'm gonna use Mirin, Mirin specifically. This is mixture with sugar and sake, Japanese sake alcohol, which is rice wine. This Mirin is specifically used in cooking. It's slightly sweet flavor with alcohol flavor. And then this is the mixture of Himalayan salt and the sea salt half and half with sugar and Ajinomoto, which is MSG. A lot of people are really skeptical about MSG consuming. However, in this recipe, you only consume really tiny bit of MSG each meal. So there's no health risk from this recipe. And this is the dried stuff we call kanbutsu in Japanese. This is mixture of kombu, kelp, bonito flake, dried anchovy, which is called Iriko or Niboshi, and dried shiitake. This mixture itself has 90 grams in total. You can blend your own mixture to hit the 90 grams if you follow my recipe. However, if you're gonna make smaller amount, I'm gonna put the calculation on the side so you can calculate by yourself. And the last is garlic. The garlic is very important in this recipe. Usually, if you can find like this size or this size garlic clove, you can use 5 to 6. I'm using a lot because I have a lot of smaller cloves, so that's basically equivalent to like 5 to 6 big clove garlic. Now we're going to start to make this sauce. First of all, you're gonna pour 600 milliliters of soy sauce. It's a little bit past, but it's okay. 200 milliliters of mirin. And this, my mixture of sugar, sea salt, Himalayan salt, and Ajinomoto, which is MSG. So now we mixed all into the pot. Before we add the garlic, we need to mince it. I personally like to crush it because if you crush the garlic, there will be more flavor coming out. If you just chop it and mince it, there will be less flavor. I personally like to have like really dense garlic flavor, so I personally just crush it like this. You see? Crushing. So these are crushed garlic. However, I see this is not like perfectly crushed, so I'm going to put it on the cutting board and then chop a little bit. Okay, so now is my desired size of garlic. I can put it into the sauce. Now we're going to start to boiling this, but you shouldn't bring the temperature inside too high. So I'm gonna reduce to medium heat. You just need to have like higher temperature to blend what's inside. Because if you think about this way, warmer temperature is easier to melt salt, sugar, or any other things. But if you just let it cold and then mix it, it takes so much time, and then sometimes it's not gonna mix at all. So that's why you need to bring up the temperature at least 60 Celsius or 70. Now it's the timing you can put the garlic you just chopped. In the end, I'm going to strain those garlic, so you don't need to care about what's inside right now. Okay, now it's about 10 minutes and you gotta check inside like this. Try to use some spatula or spoon or any type of cooking ware to see the bottom is not sandy. If you can still feel sandy, like there's a powder on the bottom, then you gotta keep stir like this. I personally still feel a little bit of sandiness on the bottom, so I'm just gonna keep stirred like this to melt it. I personally recommend spatula because you can push the sugar or salt on the bottom down to force them to melt. You wanna keep in this like tiny bubble right now, like tiny bubble is coming up, right? This is the temperature around 70 to 80. It's not gonna be 80, I think it's around 70 to 60. And then in this situation, you will keep the maximum of soy sauce flavor. If you pass that level of temperature, the soy sauce flavor is gonna escape from here. I mean, soy sauce flavor is salty, and there's a umami flavor from soy sauce, and then that's gonna escape. Saltiness won't go away, so don't worry about that. But umami flavor is really important in Japanese cuisine or cooking, so we don't want to let the umami flavor going away. And then now I starting to don't feel any sandness on the bottom. In this stage, I can just turn it off. And what I'm gonna do is put the earlier dried stuff and I'm gonna add it into it. Now we finish adding those dried stuff. Make sure everything's soaked like this. We want to extract those dried stuff's umami flavor into this soy sauce. So make sure everything's soaked like this. In this stage, I usually use the metal meshed cover to let the steam escape. If I use traditional cover like this, you see, it's already forming the steam on top of it. And then that steam is gonna become water and then drip down back in, which is not good for the sauce. So until this sauce is gonna get cold, I'm gonna use the mesh cover to let the steam escape. Once this sauce cool down, you can use this type of cover to cover it. The reason why I use cover is to protect sauce from flies and that kind of insect. Since you're gonna let it sit for like 2 days, you wanna fully protect from those stuff. Okay, now it's been 2 days and the soy sauce look like this. It's just soaked, everything's soaked, and probably a lot of flavor from those anchovy, shiitake, and kelp and bonito flake is coming out into the sauce. So this soy sauce right now is so much compounded flavor. And there's a 2 ways to finish this sauce. First one is you just use something to strain it and store it. I think that's okay because this soy sauce itself has almost double amount of salt compared to normal soy sauce. So I personally think it's impossible to grow any type of bacteria inside. However, some people worry about the bacteria growing inside, especially if you are a restaurant owner or something. You really need to be careful about it. So from here, some people boil this up the temperature that like kill the bacteria and then strain it and then store it in the bottle. So now I'm just gonna strain it. So right now is the end result. You can still see small particle floating around the inside, which is, I think is from the dried stuff, but it's not gonna bother anything in cooking. But if you seek for better result, you should use some coffee filter or something to strain it. So this is the first filter I used for straining this so much like powdery things from dried anchovy or dried bonito flakes. This kind of things, you can eat those powdery things. However, like if you seek for beauty or art in cooking, then you need to strain it and then try to extract those stuff. But for the normally eating or ordinary eating is fine. Like it's not gonna have bad effect for your health or anything. Okay, now I finished my tare or kaeshi sauce. Usually I won't refrigerate it because this is so compounded with salt. So if you put it in fridge, it might become like crystal or salt. It's gonna going back to form. So keep that in somewhere dark and not direct sun. That'll be good. And also this is like the way I prefer to make. Of course, there's so many different ways to make this tare or kaeshi. So I personally recommend to try different type of recipe and what works better or what works best for you. You are the one to pick. But this is the way I make. Sometimes I also make a different way, like the way I told you earlier, boil down before you strain it is also the way. It's just personal preference because once you boil down your dried stuff, some of the dried stuff have different temperature extraction time. So that's gonna be different. For instance, kelp seaweed has lower extraction temperature than bonito flake. Bonito flakes, you can boil down like really high heat to extract umami flavor. But kelp seaweed, you need to use lower temperature because once kelp seaweed past 90 degree to 100 degree, which is boiling temperature, they start to releasing some like stickiness or bitterness. We call egumi in Japanese. You don't want to let the egumi come out. That's the like interesting part about Japanese cuisine because you really need to pay attention to the temperature when you extract stock or making soup. However, if you follow the rule, you will get perfect result. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. If you like this channel, please subscribe or hit the like button. Thank you for watching and I will see you in next video. Peace. What does that say?
Say it more time.
More than easier than, huh?
It's easier than it looks.
So don't overthink. This is easier than, this sauce is easier than
looks.
It looks. Huh? Cook?
No, the sauce is easier to make than it looks.
Oh, this sauce is easier. This sauce is easier than. This.
Looks, mitai. Looks.
This sauce is easier.
Mitai. Looks.
Looks easier. Looks than make. What?
This sauce is easier to make than it looks.
Oh, okay. This sauce is easier than looks than make.
Okay, this sauce is easier to make.
Okay. This sauce is easier to make than looks.
So close. Easier to make than it looks.
This sauce is easier to make than it looks.
Hell yeah, yeah. Good.
Can you?
Shit. Oh no.
I just said
Sorry, it took so long. Do it one more time.
This sauce is easier than.
This sauce is easier to make
Oh.
than it looks.
This sauce is easier to make than it looks.
Yes.
This sauce is easier than it looks. This sauce is easier to make than it looks.